welcome to the Wednesday stream, which you know what that means. It's painting night. As you can see, it's a little bit different setup. I'm still painting Blood Bowl Ogre team, but as you can see, just to the side of me is a big tank. What are you painting, Si?
So I'm painting a Forge-World Mastodon, which is a Space Marine assault transport.
So there we go.
Just a little bit of one. Just for scale, there is a regular 40k scale miniature. Just a little guy.
Yeah. So yeah, as you can see, I'm joined by Simon tonight. We're just gonna chat along as we paint. So I'm gonna carry on with the I'm gonna start with the Nobblers today. You might have seen earlier. I'm calling this guy Bruce Nobbler, and when I play with him, he's gonna be my fouling specialist because he's gonna take advantage of the bribe rules. For all you football fans out there, you'll get the joke. I'm dropping the Discord link into the chat now, so feel free to come and join us on the Discord. Obviously, me and Simon won't be chatting now directly on there, but there's other people who might want to chat along. Join us in the chat, and I'm gonna start by using Contrast Orc. I guess you and myself coming back through yours now. Contrast Orc Flesh onto the Nobblers, and then gonna try and paint their they're wearing just rags, and I'm gonna try and do them like Dobby from Harry Potter, so like looking as if it's a pillowcase or something like that.
I have a slightly less interesting task on the painting tonight. I'm on about coat number 7 of grey because I made the slightly foolish decision to undercoat this beastie in black and then started painting it with a very, very thinned down Games Workshop Administratum grey, which means if I turn it around slightly, you can see the first few coats came on very streaky. And yes, I know I should probably be painting it with an airbrush, but since I've lent my airbrush out to people and it's lockdown and things like that, I haven't been able to get it back. And frankly, they're better than I am anyway. Hello, Howard, if you're listening. So I've left it with them, and I am doing this the old-fashioned way: brushes, brushes, brushes.
So, have you painted much during lockdown?
I've not done as much as I would have liked to have done. I got started, dug out some squat conversions I'm doing because my Imperial Guard army is basically all made of squat models. So I've made a bit of a start. I don't know if you can see them on the painting bench there, on some models to count as squat scions for the Astromil. So there's a little standard bearer list. Just bring him over. And then I sort of burnt out on all of the greens and blacks. So yeah, they've sat on the bench there, half painted for quite some time. And then other than that, not so much. No, I occasionally me and the kids will bust the paints out. They quite like painting zombies, so it's quite nice to sit and have a little paint with them. But it can be a little stressful with a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old dipping into your paints and meshing your brushes. So yeah, no, not as much as I'd like to have done.
So,
which is why I'm
yeah, I was just gonna say. So you're saying that there's colours other than green?
Well, orc play, you're not familiar with this concept, but no, I've got a lot of Scots painted in this sort of Caliban green and black sort of uniform scheme, and oh my gosh, does it get a little bit boring when you're on like infantry man number 50. I discovered just prior to lockdown, so we went up to Warhammer Worlds, I think last February it would have been. I took the guard up with me, and as I unpacked it all, I discovered there was loads I've done. So I had sort of enough for the game fully painted, But then I had it's like a second company and a whole bunch of extra vehicles that I'd been sort of working on years ago and hadn't sort of really done anything with. And they're all sort of lurking in the bag as well. I was like, oh man, I should have finished more of those. Um, so, but cleverly, I left them in the shop so that I don't have to look at them and think, man, I should be doing that. I just brought the Scions Regiment home with me and this beastie. And if I get both of those done, then I'll be a happy man.
Yeah, I
Uh,
started at the beginning, like I've said on the stream, I started quite well at the beginning of lockdown, um, with my orcs and my grots and all of those guys, and then it just got to the point where I'd had enough. Um, I yeah, I just painted so much green and red because speed freaks.
the
Red,
perfect colour for you as well, isn't it? It's a
yeah.
interesting colour choices. But,
Well, I blame Kieran. He's the one who bought me a bloody orc buggy. So I'm like, what?
what started off all that
Yeah,
time.
yeah. That's what started it off. Kieran bought me an orc buggy, and then you got all my money. So
It's the way. It's a dangerous person to know. So I will take all of your money. The staff are Kieran and that are always complaining because I pay them each month and then they give me half of their paycheck back for all the toys. It's always a fun time. He was like, see how much of their wages you can get back out of them in things they want.
oh, but yeah. Um, I do miss coming into the shop and just all the impulse purchases. To be
Oh,
fair.
I miss having people there because I'm in there packing orders for posting at the moment, and it's so quiet and so cold without people in there. Yeah, customers make really good central heating. It turns out, um, but yeah, it's just not the same without sort of the buzz of people having fun. No matter how loud I turn Planet Rock up to sort of compensate for it. So I am thoroughly looking forward to when we can have people back in again, whenever that will be. I mean, my guess is we're going to be looking well north of April before anything I thought about, because I think they might have gone a bit too early with their November relaxation. So yeah, in my head, I'm thinking don't expect to be sort of coming in and gaming until after April at the earliest. But yeah, I'll keep an eye on it and see what I can see, because obviously I'd love to have people back in if it was safe to do so, because it's sort of the point of the shop.
I don't know. I definitely want to start getting some X-Wing games back in. And I have been
Yeah,
looking at the sale stuff that you got. I'm so tempted to pick up that Sith Infiltrator.
nice.
Because,
I made a bit of a mistake with the sale stuff. I had two conflicting discount schemes on the website for about 10 minutes. So a few of the regulars managed to get a really good deal on some of the bigger ships that I put up this week. There was a brief moment where the Sith Infiltrators were accidentally going for £10 each, as were the Ghost and the Punishing One and the Houndstooth. And I spotted it very, very quickly and fixed it. But yes, a few of the locals managed to grab a deal, and because it was only locals, I thought, oh, do you know what, we'll leave them with it. So yes, if you had a good deal, congratulations, and silly old me.
yeah, but even at the price that it's, even at the £20 is a good deal.
Yeah, I mean it's a bit of a shame really, because obviously I'm the person to play a lot of these things, and X-Wing particularly because there's not necessarily so much of the painting aspect, although I know some people do. Sorry, Tarek, you are in the way. Excuse me. Um, yeah, we're just sort of sat on a bunch of stock at the moment that we can't see ourselves selling for a little while. So we just need to move it along,
Yeah, I
give
get
someone a good
that
deal, and
because I've
keep us ticking.
I've been in the shop playing X-Wing and, Impulse bought or The best one I think I done when I was in the shop playing X-Wing was Adam wouldn't let me proxy a card. So I run downstairs and I bought the
The ship
set.
that had it in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's like,
and it's surprising how much of our business must have come from that sort of thing, because yeah, you've certainly noticed the difference where people are only getting things that they've specifically thought they want to get, if you know what I mean. And it's a lot harder to accidentally impulse buy when you're on the website, because you tend to be looking for a thing, and only a few other sort of suggestions and bits and bobs will pop up. Whereas if you're in store, then the staff could always sort of talk to you and know their customers and tell you about good things and recommend things, and that's part of the joy of having people in. But yeah, we'll get back there. We're not going anywhere, that's for sure.
no, that's good tutor anyway. Um, Something I saw today that I hadn't seen yet is the Umbrella Academy game. Have you got that in?
The No, we've got the Resident Evil 2 board game, but not the Umbrella Academy.
So
But we can certainly have a look at ordering it in if you're after it.
yeah, well, I am thinking about it, but there are other things that I need to look at before then.
Bill Schmills.
No, it's not even building wise. It's just like, so I don't know. I keep looking at things on the website, and it's just like, not just do I need. It's kind of, oh, I want that, and then I put it on the list, the list in my brain, and then that's the only issue is that it's the list is in my brain, and I gotta remember next time that I go on and buy stuff. Like I have been tempted with the box of Keyforge decks, but you know I haven't played in over a year now.
Yeah, that's the thing. And you've got the new set coming out for that soon.
Yeah.
That's like a couple of weeks away, as far as I can tell. Although with things the way they are, deliveries are a bit erratic.
Yeah, and apart from that, it's just like I haven't played the set that came out during lockdown, so in the summer at all.
Yeah, Mass Mutation didn't really get played at all, did it? And
no, so it's.
I mean, we've got as well all of the league decks that would be for this season. They arrived about a week or two ago. So as soon as we can get people back in and playing, we've got all the stuff to run leagues with you. Yeah, it'll be good once we can have people back. But until such time.
So you mentioned yesterday when we were having our meeting that you've been nosing on Forge World. What?
Yeah, I resisted the temptation, but as you know, I've got a Warlord Titan, so I've just noticed a bit of flash I missed there, so I razor blade that off. That was survived 2 coats of paint and undercoating before I noticed that bit. Yeah, it's a persistent one. Yeah, so as you know, I've got a Warlord Titan, the big boy, but I noticed I hadn't got one of the weapons, the Quake Cannon, because I've got a lot of the other bits and bobs for it. So I was half toying with the idea of getting myself a Quake Cannon as a bit of a present, but fortunately they were out of stock of it, so I resisted the temptation to buy anything else and came to my senses, because I've only actually had 4 games playing the Titan since I finished it. I nearly dropped it there. That would have been an expensive mistake. Yeah, so I think I should probably get a few more games in and get everything else fully finished on it, because I've got one of the sets of weapons is totally complete, and the volcano cannons I need to do sort of final coat on and just tidy them up a little bit. But yeah, no, I do like my big toys.
We do need to show off your big toys at some point.
Yeah, but the one I'm enjoying most at the moment is the Overlord Airship. So, with the help of James, who's a local laser printer, an MDF cutter, I made a 40k scale Overlord Airship, which is a squat epic model. And it's a thing I tried to do about 10-15 years ago, sort of just scratch building it out of squash bottles and mod rock and things like that. And it sort of worked, but wasn't ideal. And the technology's come on so well since that I was able to just sort of give him ideas, and sort of a couple of hours later he'd come back with, oh, here's how that could work. So he laser cut me an MDF sort of chassis to build the balloon envelope out of. I sort of found an old guide to how to cover model aeroplanes with sort of paper and a thing called Easy Dope, which isn't anything to do with drugs. It's how they used to cover sort of proper aircraft back in the day. Basically, it's a chemical that makes the paper go really rigid. So you get sort of the outer layer, but very, very lightweight. So I made the sort of balloon envelope out of that, and then he laser printed me various different bits of his own design, sort of based off the original epic model and suggestions from me. And then so we've ended up with a sort of turreted beast, and I've played it once, I think, in the brief interim we had between lockdowns, and I think because I've made my own rules for it, because obviously there's nothing in 8th and 9th edition for it, and I sort of tested them out on a group of friends. They agreed that it wasn't overpowered and they'd be happy to play against it. Got a game in with my friend Andy, and it did all right, but it was I was playing against his new Necrons, and they are a bit snacky, and they basically shot the rest of my army off the table and mostly ignored the Overlord. So while it was wandering around shooting big holes in them, it couldn't really do enough on its own to make up for the fact that I couldn't roll dice that day, and the rest of my army were wearing just their vests, not any armor. So, but yeah,
you
it was
preaching
nice
to the
to
converted there.
it was nice to roll it out, and it was nice to know that sort of the rules made it feel like it was meant to, if you know what I mean. But I think it's going to be a little while before I get that to the table again.
I managed to get one game in that little interim where you were open, where I got to run the new Ragnar. Not Ragnar. I run Gazgal against Ragnar, and like in the fluff for that set, it's like, oh, they mortally wounded each other. Yeah, playing it. There's no way that Ragnar's mortally wounding Gazgal.
Yeah, he was a bit good, was he?
Compared to the Ragnar, you just kind of, especially with that only 4 wounds per phase.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be armies that can deal with that a bit better than Space Wolves, I guess, like Kieran Jenkins.
How many wounds has he got?
12 is it? I think.
Yeah, I guess so. In theory, you could kill him in one turn if you hit him a lot in the psychic phase, shot him and assaulted him.
Yeah.
But still fairly tricky. So I can see why they did it, because he's obviously over the threshold for being targeted as well, isn't he?
Yeah. So, and so like if I go up against like Kieran Jenkins' Grey Knight army, that's got a better chance because they can shoot
Poop out the smites and
all the smites, and then they pretty good in melee as well, with the hammers and staves and all of those nonsensey things.
how does Kieran run his Grey Knights? Is he sort of doing it Drygo Wing? sort of all of the Terminators, or does he use the strike squads as well?
Strike squads, I think. We've only had a few games. I don't think he's done many Terminators. Uh, and
See, back in the day, I used to enjoy running them as sort of the Paladins and fancy Terminators, and that was a couple of editions ago, though.
yeah, I think he done strike squads, and he'd a Grandmaster. When
Was
he,
he called Flash?
I don't know. No. Uh, yeah, and the thing was, I played him with my orcs, and they just cut the orcs to pieces. He did run when he first bought them off you. He run Drago against the orcs, and like Drago, Caldo Drago, bloody punched a buggy out of existence in like one
Yeah,
turn of fighting. And then so like they cut the orcs to pieces, but he played against my Death Guard, and he kept forgetting that they got bonuses. So they,
and I guess when you played him with the Orcs, that was under the older rules as well. So Orcs were a little underpowered back then, weren't they?
yeah, and yeah, so like he kept forgetting that he had bonuses for hitting demons and stuff. So um, but like I was forgetting as well. We still new to the game, so even now I still think we knew, even though because like we've got a year where we've where we
Not done.
technically
Yeah.
been 40k players, but we never played. So
See, I've been playing since Rogue Trader, and I still forget stuff because I've got that many editions going through my head that I'm like, does it work this way? Does it work that way? Yes. So yeah, it's. I think unless you're a serious tournament player, you're probably just there to have fun anyway.
yeah, and but like uh, when Mortarian got even last edition, when people were saying, "Oh, you can't run him; he gets shot off the board in like one turn," and blah blah blah. As soon as he got into the lines, yeah, that was it then.
Yeah.
But if he'd remembered that
Yeah.
his nemesis Dread Knight um, got like extra wounds on him, then yeah, it might have been a bit different. But it was only afterwards we went, "Oh, hang on, you should have been having this."
It's always the way you remember it just too late. But yes, providing you're rolling dice with friends, it doesn't really matter, does it?
No, and that's it. I when I got into it, it was always going to be just a fun thing. I'm never going to go to a tournament with it. Um, it's just
I
to
mean,
play.
I get why people do, but yeah, I'm entirely the same mindset. The tournaments don't really float my boat.
And like
I like my pew pew and things to.
I did enjoy like the tournament scene in X-Wing. Um,
Yeah, it was a different mindset with that sort of crowd, though. I think generally with that hobby, I don't know what it was about it, but yeah, the X-Wing players seemed a lot more chilled out about tournaments than it possibly because the rule set was a bit more set up for tournaments. There wasn't so much potential for variation that I think maybe basically Fantasy Flight wrote better tournament rules.
yeah, and
Because Games Workshop has always sort of struggled with the balance between rule of cool and rule of new thing gets the best rules and rule of game balance. And I get why they do, but it does make it rather hard to have tournaments that don't sort of favour the min maxes or the deep pockets.
I know. When I follow following different like pages on Facebook and stuff, you'll always get someone who says, "What do I need to load out these things?" And you get the people who are like, "Oh well, this is the current best loadout," and then you get the people who are, "Dude, don't chase the meta because you're gonna just it's gonna cost you a fortune." But
Yeah,
so like,
and
and you see that a lot in like on the forums and stuff.
yeah, I've always gone with. Do you know what? I make things around a theme, and yeah, if it happens to work, brilliant. If it's not, you're telling the tale of a glorious defeat.
Yeah, well that's it with what I've got. My theme was for my orcs anyway was like Mad Max.
Yeah,
So like it is buggies and stuff like that, and then on top of that it's so buggies, and then like mechy things can fit in as well, because can imagine that fit in like with the
yeah,
Fury Road where they've got the cars with bits and pieces knocked together in them, so or big stacks of amplifiers on the back of a truck. So that was my theme, and that's what I've stuck with. So and I like that aesthetic with it. That's why I like the orcs. Chris in the chat is saying about he's looking forward to get back to Keyforge competitions. And my nephew Josh is pointing out that we give him a taster game of 40k. We used Kieran's Space Wolves and proxied Blood Angels, and
nice.
he kicked my ass. And now he wants me to tell everyone that because that's what he's saying in the chat. Remember my first match with you? Yeah. So that was me with my Death Guard army all nicely painted and everything against Kieran's Sea of Grey and being proxied as a Sea of Red. And yeah, they killed me good.
Everyone loves a new player stomping though.
Yeah.
It's it's fun, especially when it's a genuine win, because it's gonna sort of keep them coming back and fire them up for the hobby.
Oh, he did accuse me of letting him win. Um, and um, and people who know me will say, no, no, that's never gonna happen. Like, I don't mind losing, but I'm not gonna lose on purpose.
Yeah, there's an art to losing without being seen to lose. I've got very good at it since having kids. uh, yeah, you've got to
Yeah,
provide the illusion of a thinking without getting caught out or making it too easy.
yeah.
And sometimes it goes wrong. Um, but yes, I'm getting very good at the moment about playing Mario Kart and not crushing the lad. He's a
I
and he's
was
getting quite good, and sometimes he's genuinely beating me. So it's nice. You're sort of giving him encouragement to develop, and then
and Chris is saying he always loses. So yeah, I used to take the other route. Like when Kieran was growing up, I would play games with him and give him the sense that he was winning, and then
and
at the
then
end
take it at
win.
the end.
Yeah, so like,
Ah, you mean uncle.
but it was still he was still getting that sense and taught him how to
Yeah,
lose.
losing graciously is an art as well. It's
Yeah, I
I do need to. My daughter particularly needs to work on it. But, yeah, no. I suppose when you're 4, you're not expected to hold your hand out and say good game.
So have you made any progress on those? Well, like I'm saying, Josh had a tester game with me, and then for Christmas, because he enjoyed it, he ended up having like a load of Blood Angel stuff off me and Kieran. So have you made a start on them yet, Josh? He's but yeah, it's a pity that they shut down like everything, like family
Yeah,
bubbles and everything. Otherwise, because we couldn't see anyone on Christmas. Otherwise, he would have probably had them built and everything. I know he was struggling with the building side of it,
yeah.
having not done it
It's
before.
it's funny, isn't it? How some people the building's the bugbear, some people the painting's the bugbear, some people the playing's the bugbear. Um, I personally prefer building to the painting, and I enjoy the playing. But yeah, the building and the getting something to go together right, or mostly right in the case of this one, which was interestingly cast. So had a few little bodges to get it to fit together nicely.
Yeah, he's saying that he struggled. He tried, but he struggled to get them to fit together right. So once we manage to get out of this lockdown, we'll be able to show you again, I guess. Um, but yeah, for me, I think the building is my least favorite part, which is weird because I like Lego and stuff. And getting myself to paint is not easy, but when I do it, it's not too bad. Um,
Yeah, it's finding the motivation to get started, and then once you go and you remember that you enjoy it almost.
yeah,
Because I've got more on this done this evening sitting here chatting to you than I have done in the preceding 3 months.
I know what you mean because like starting this stream, I've got like I know well, I done the Plague Marine on the stream for the Warhammer Swansea thing, and I done and then I've been painting these guys, and even though I've been taking my time and trying to do them great, it means that these guys have been sat in my two paint pile for ages, and I kept going, oh yeah, I gotta paint those guys. I gotta paint those guys. And now, once these guys are painted, I can buy a Snotling team. But I can't buy a Snotling team until I paint these
Until they're
guys.
painted.
Yeah. And I really want that Snotling team. I did want the Necromantic team as well, but Kieran bought them. And I don't particularly want the same team as Kieran's got.
I don't know. Sometimes in a league, it can be fun to have two different takes on the same team.
I know, but like um it because like I came up against Sam's orcs in the last league, and hers was a different build to mine. She didn't have a troll, so do you know what she did? She turned my troll into a really bad black orc.
Oh yeah, that was a brutal game, wasn't it? You
Yeah, she.
injury. In fact, the entire league seemed overly brutal.
Well, you
Injuries
had
flying left and centre.
Kieran and Greg going for just they didn't go for the win of the league. They just wanted most injuries. So like yeah, it was fun. And we were planning on doing another league last year. Because Chris wants to play as well. Um, Kieran got the necromantic team, but he didn't have that at the time. But and I think it was before Will moved away and stuff like that. So we were gonna a
And that
league.
that was always the nice thing about both the Carmarthen shop where you guys were hanging out at the time and the Swansea stories that people were always sort of quite welcoming and quite sort of encouraging of each other as well. So you'd get stuff going and get get a league playing or get an escalation campaign going. Yes, that's the other thing I really miss about the shop is sort of people dragging each other into things and sort of you'd be talking to a customer at the counter, and before you'd finished talking to them, they'd been invited to play their first game, 3 new friends by just passing customers, and it was it's a thing of beauty. It's a love the community spirit there.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, I when I first started when me and Kieran first started going to Carmarthen, that was we don't know anyone in Carmarthen. And then I remember the first time Chris showed up down in Carmarthen, and we thought he was like he had all like Volto kind of stuff, like playmat, and he had a time traveler deck which none of us had at that point, and like he looked as if he was the business, but like as he said, he always loses. But yeah, we ended up with as good friends after hanging out down there. We've done the Escalation League. That's how my Death Guard built up, because I I had the Escalation League down there, and I was building and painting the Death Guard for that, and we just it was a nice little thing. It was all day on Saturday. We'd play something in the day, Warhammer or something along those lines, and then Keyforge in the evening before coming back. And that's what I miss. I really miss like spending time with um people that you want to spend time with instead of colleagues. Not that there's anything wrong with
Yes,
colleagues. It's just you know you miss your
yeah,
friends.
yeah, absolutely. And that was the other thing, was it was always weird that whenever the store would organise an event, we might get 2 or 3 people, but when the community themselves got themselves organised and started things happening, it always had far more going for it. It was it in a good way. It almost put me off running organised events, because to go, oh, do you know what, the community are going to do this better and they're going to have more fun. Let's just direct people so they know each other, let them make networks, and let them play like friends. And yeah, it was just lovely to see people getting brought into the crowd. Sort of, welcome to your new home.
Yeah, well, that was it with X-Wing as well. Like, Miles tricked us with that stupid. Well, it was even a replacement video, because like
Yeah,
we'd filmed Mario Kart in the pub, and the people in the pub um had made it unusable footage because the audio was just dead. So it was like, oh, we need a new episode. I know, we can play X-Wing, and I think I bought the starter set that night, and then and and then like we started playing on a Thursday, and then before you know it, we were part of the community. And
off
then
to the nationals and regionals and things.
yeah, I did burn myself out a bit on it. I got to admit that. Um, I still love the game, but going to like uh the
Well,
system
some of
open.
those, yeah, some of those big events were long though, weren't they? You're like 2 days straight playing with sort of 9, 10 hours of tournament a day.
Well, I just ruined it for myself basically. I drove up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to go to, because I couldn't get a hotel. So I drove up from here to Birmingham at 5 o'clock in the morning. Played all day because I didn't really need to stay because I wasn't ever gonna make the cut. Um, it would have been nice to stay for the second day, but I was never gonna make the cut. But then didn't finish until like 9 o'clock by the time I played in one of the um
Side events. So.
side events, and then I drove back at like 9 in the night, and I didn't get in until I think I had to stop a couple of times because when you're that tired and you can feel yourself starting a thing, it's like I'm gonna take five
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah. I used to have a job where I was driving around all over Wales for various sort of property companies, and yes, I recognise that. It's just like, I'm just going to sleep in this lay-by for half an hour till I'm not a danger to myself and others.
I used when I used to be out on the road doing comic cons, I used to. It's gonna sound stupid. I don't know if anyone has ever done this themselves, but I used to play a game with myself where when I started needing a pee, I'd look at the service sign, and you'd see like one in like 10 miles and one in 40, and then it'd be like, okay, can I make 40 minutes?
Dangerous game.
And then as you're driving past the one, you've been going for about 5 miles, and you're like, I should have stopped.
I regret everything.
I made a bad decision. I once done it so badly that like I jumped out of the car, run into the service station, run to the toilet, and when I came back out, I didn't know where I'd parked.
Oh no.
I think
Oh
I
man.
went into come out of a different door than I went in, and I couldn't find my car.
All right, you get to play another version of that game when you have kids, which is they will tell you just after you've gone past the services that they now need the toilet, and you're like, right, how can I convince these children to hold it for 25 minutes? That's always a fun one for long trips.
Yeah. But yeah, that kind of burnt me out on the game for a bit, and it was just before second edition, so like I think I just
Yeah,
it.
the edition change is tricky. I mean, for people who play Warhammer, edition changes aren't a sort of a massive issue because you sort of almost factor in for it. You know, it's coming every 3 to 6 years. You know, it's probably going to involve a new rulebook and probably a few new models, and you sort of get used to that. But X-wing, it was like people's were just because a lot of the players there had come from sort of board gaming backgrounds or it was their first war game, and the sadness. They were just like, "What you mean? I have to buy a whole pile of new rules and stuff." Um, yeah, it was. I could see why Fantasy Flight did it, but it's a bit of a shame. A lot of the times you almost wish they'd planned for the game to have more longevity, so you don't have the second, third, and fourth editions within a few years of each other. I mean, I can think of a few war games that have sort of burnt through their editions as well, and sort of catching Games Workshop up in how many editions they've had. And you're just like, why can't you just plan your releases or plan your rules a bit more and
I think they have
avoid the
done
power creep?
a little
Yeah,
bit with
not
this a new edition because they took the points off the card, and like um oh, what's the other thing, and like uh what what things pilots can take have come off the card. So like you had in the first edition there was Dengar that was a bit broken because he could take so much that he had amazing action economy. Um, but you know when they said okay he can no longer take this upgrade, and people moaned and like they took photos of themselves breaking at like punching holes in the card and stuff like that. And but now they've taken it off. It's kind of and the points. It's kind of fixed it. So if something is too OP or
yeah,
becomes
they can
too
just
prevalent, they could just go, yeah, we're gonna get rid of that. Because I know towards the end of first edition, if you watched any X-wing on like YouTube or anything, all the tournaments were basically mirror matches between Miranda and Nim, and then it's just one person to make a wrong move, but otherwise it was just basically the same builds.
yeah, and that gets a bit. Sorry, I just heard. I thought my cat was coming to disturb my painting then, but she's asleep on the sofa. So if Sam's watching, she'll be denied cat yet again. Sorry, Sam.
Yeah. So like I think they've kind of learned their lesson, and like there's no um things like torpedo what were they, harpoons.
Yeah,
which were totally
Yes,
broken.
it's tricky as well because you sort of want a game to have the flavour of the shows or the IPs that they're based on, but a lot of those sort of the stories that they're based on, some stuff is genuinely better, and you can't make a balanced game that is also reflective of the thing, because otherwise you'd need precisely 5 Space Marines in your army, and they would kill a lot of things.
Yeah, basically. And there'd be no way that something like God would ever win against
Yeah,
Space Marines and stuff. And it'd be why are they fighting each other?
yeah,
Um,
but yeah. How are they coming then, Ricky? Are you making good progress there?
yeah, well, I've got green on. Um, let's have a look. 5, 7, 7. So I got 4 more to do to green on. They're looking quite good. I don't know if you can see that.
Nice. Yep, looking good.
Um, so I'm gonna, yeah. So it's coming along quite well actually. I should really do the one in his hand as well, because he's getting ready to fling him. I do. I really like these models, and
Yeah,
that
the,
and
fair play to Games Workshop. They do make a characterful orc model, or goblin, or ogre, or all of the above.
yeah. So like I think that's what some of the time, because like I've said all the way along, I'm not a great painter. It's just this is just us kind of doing a paint along, and if people want to join in with us, they're more than welcome.
Yeah,
Um,
the painting tutorial from my side is don't do anything I do. So I'm nowhere near a good painter, but I like just getting them basically table ready and playing the game. It's and that's I end up telling this to people in the shop quite a lot. Is you don't have to be as good as the White Dwarf painters, the pro painters. It's lovely if you can. And I take my hat off to the dedication of people like Miles who do paint amazingly. But I think a lot of people put themselves off because they feel that standard is out of their reach, and then think they can't do it at all. And I say to people, basically, providing it looks all right, held at arm's length, and the colours are roughly in the right places, then you don't have to be painting like the miniatures look on the box. Just paint it so it's all right on the table and play the game.
um, thanks, Electric Crow. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take any compliment that I can. To be fair, said that it looks sick. Uh, how about yours? How's yours coming along?
I have got more grey on it this evening than I thought I would, so I'm just on the back half now, but I've got a more even coat along the front 3 facings, bar this sort of top cupola and the back end. So yeah, it's getting there. I'm slowly building up the layers as I go and finding that, and then I can start putting some interesting bits and going back in and working out where I'm going to put the markings, because this is obviously joining sort of the rest of my Space Marines who have got a scheme that I've been painting for quite a few years now. But annoyingly, this area of black just by here is similar to the way the Land Raiders and current Rhinos are marked out, but that's the only really recessed panel, and that's the signature that I've been doing with them, sort of the admin grey plus a sort of black offset panels. And I'm sort of struggling to think, where am I going to put more black detailing to really make it look. So the Thunderhawk, I got away with it on sort of the wing markings, tail, as well as the sort of the front recessed panel. But yeah, unless I'm going to end up sort of masking areas off and sort of freehanding some stripes on, because I had a look while I was on the Forge World website actually at their painted versions. There's some sort of nice bold diagonal sort of areas of colour on it. but yeah, I'm sort of panicking slightly because I normally cheat and use the recessed areas as more of a guide area. So yeah, getting there is the short answer.
So your paint scheme is your own
Yeah,
chapter then.
so yeah, I've gone for a chapter called the Groom Avengers, who are um, so I've sort of evolved the backstory for them over the years. The current iteration of it is they are a tithe company. So there's a bit of sort of fluff lore from back in the day that sort of back pre-heresy, the Emperor used to reward rogue traders, honor guards of Marines. Um, so basically, the sort of the thing behind it is they're a company drawn from mixed heritage, who were serving a rogue trader at the time of the heresy. They arrive back into human space to find this all going on. Can't be sure of any of their loyalties or anyone else's loyalties because they can see brother fighting brother. So they are convinced to strip their existing heraldry and reform under a separate banner and then sort of take part on the loyalist side. But that what I've used that sort of rationale before is that way if I fancy playing them with a more salamanders bent, then that day sort of the salamanders elements of the force are more prevalent. And if I fancy playing them with a more sort of imperial fist bent, then yeah, it just lets me over the years sort of chop and change which codex I'm using for them at any given time, depending on what I fancy playing, rather than sort of feeling that I'm tied to one play style and sort of colour. Well, one official colour scheme. Plus, as well, if it's my own colour scheme, no one can tell me I've done it wrong.
um, Electric Crow's asking how's our day. Yeah, not bad for me. So I had work earlier, and then came home and set up for this basically. How about you?
Uh, yeah, I've been homeschooling the kids today, so we have had ups and downs as those sort of things go. It's on the whole been lovely, um, with sort of breaks for them having to do work and me having to do boring shop stuff while they entertain themselves. Yeah, not too bad on the whole. Um, yeah, pretty good. I'm next back in the shop on Saturday, so it's daddy school for the next few days for them, bless them, until half term kicks in.
So someone is asking where in Swansea we work. I would prefer not to say. I will just say that it's in the Morriston area. Um,
And I'm the owner of the Gamers Emporium, so I High Street opposite where Argos used to be.
so yeah, I'm with the uh, founders of the Swansea Comic and Gaming Convention. Uh, yeah, so even though I'm not ever planning on buying Space Marines, not that I was ever planning on buying Warhammer, Simon.
Yeah.
um,
Well,
but I because Games Workshop tend to throw free what miniatures at you, and they tend to be on the marine side of it. I did start
yeah.
putting together um I did start putting together uh like some backstory for a thing that I was gonna like a chapter for me, and like as I prefer the chaos side, and when I've listened through to like Horus Heresy books, I still like things uh from the Trade Allegiance. So like even though the Trade Allegiance, but the loyalists from them. So my chapter would be like stripped of all heraldry. It'll just be silver armor, um, and they basically come from the likes of Garviel Loken um, and oh, what's his name from the Emperor's Children, Saul Tarvitz and Nathaniel Garrow and stuff like that. So, and I was thinking that the only thing that they'd have to show anything, so they'd be all silver, and then the pauldrons will be like the original colors,
Yeah,
pre-heresy like colors for, so anyone who came from like the Lunar Wolves rather than the Sons of Horus, they'd take Lunar Wolves colors on the pauldrons, um, and then also you get into that thing of you could build the, like you've said with yours, you could build them to be, so if you've got, you can build different detachments to be better at different things. So like you could build some world eaters to um, be good at punching things in the face, or iron warriors for heavy weapons and stuff like that. And
yeah, it'd be quite a characterful little project.
but I ended up, all the ones I did have, I give to Josh to help expand
It is blood.
his Blood Angels. So
You're in the Blood Angels now, son.
yeah, so but that will be, if I ever did do um, Space Marines, that's what I would go with, I think. And like I've looked up lore and stuff. It's like apparently um, one of the reasons that the Ultramarines. I know that no one like the people don't like the Ultramarines, but apparently like after the heresy, um, Gulliman did apparently do something like he put people into, he took loyalists from those legions that fell and just brought them back in and made them like lost chapters of the Ultramarines, which also
Yeah,
works with why the Ultramarines have so many chapters compared to everyone else, apart from being poster boys of the whole game.
I keep finding mold lines and bits of flash that I've missed. So,
Uh, see, that's why you need to be Death Guard or Orcs, because it's just a growth then.
yeah.
Or if it's on a vehicle, it's where they've cobbled two panels together.
Uh, so I've got another project brewing in the back of my head, not for the Guard this time rather than Marines, and I'm going to have a go at making a regimental HQ, the sort of squat Cyclops Leviathan beastie. But obviously they don't do that kit in 40k scale, so it's going to be another scratch build jobby. But yes, I'm going to end up making something similar in height to a Fortress of Redemption scenery piece, and I make that look like tank armor out of plastic card and bits and bobs like that. So I'm dreading that slightly when I get around to it. I've got the Bane blades that I'm going to use for the chassis already. I'm just waiting to reclaim a razor saw, which I think Kieran's got mine, so I think he's going to drop it to you for eventual
Yeah,
transfer at some point. But Titch is lending me his until then. Um, yeah, I like a scratch build, so even though I'm quite scared of making it look good, I'll enjoy cutting around
that's
some
my
big
problem.
tanks.
Like, I have kind of got over my fear of painting a bit. Like, to be fair, my two centerpieces, uh, Greg has said he hates spotting flashlights after starting to build. Yeah, so like when it comes to painting, I've got over my fear a bit, and it's like they're better than I'm better at it than I thought I'd be. I'm not great, but I don't like doing like centerpiece models, so I have had those commissioned when I've done, so like my Mortarion, I knew I wouldn't be able to do that justice, so I got Alex from Carmarthen to paint that for me, and then Gazgul I got Miles to paint, but I always like the idea of scratch building something, but it is something that I just don't think like it'll ever be as good as what I see in my head, and that's
Yeah,
what would stop me with that.
I don't know whether it's a when you started playing thing as well, because obviously I've been playing for quite a while, and back in the day they didn't have all of the cool scenery kits. They didn't have models for half the things, and they were never going to produce them. So a lot of the things you did have to scratch build. I mean, back in sort of Rogue Trader days, you were designing your own vehicle as well. So I remember, in fact, I built my first tank at age 13 or 14, it would have been, which was two blister packs glued together to make the shape of the hull, and then some balsa wood that my old man had around for his model aircraft cut into track shapes. And so sort of, I think people these days are almost put off from scratch build more by the variety of stuff that's around.
Like, I have always wanted to, because even since when my brief little expedition into Warhammer in the 90s, and I'd see the stuff about like orcs taking rhinos and stuff like that, and taking
Good old
rhinos and stuff like
Ravens.
that, and retooling them. And I always wanted to orcify some sort of thing like that. I'm gonna have to quickly go and plug in. I forgot to plug into the mains, and
Oh,
this eats the battery stream in. So bear with me a second.
no worries. I shall continue to provide the voice. So, for those of you in the chat, what's your sort of biggest bugbear when it comes to you hate the painting or hate the building, or how do you think on it? Let us know in the chat. All right, let's get these back doors done. So, just see where I'm at. Last few bits now, and then we've got a fairly uniform layer of grey on, which obviously there's still going to be a few bits that I'll need to come back another day on. So it's nice to have it a nearly solid colour as well. It's good. There we go. All gone quiet because Ricky's had way more practice about this talking to camera malarkey than I have, so I'm not sure how he's managed to keep the chat going on his Todd for the previous streams, but fair play to him, I say. Here he is, back to save me. Hello, it was lonely without you. I was just saying to anyone who might be listening, fair play to you, because I don't know how you've managed to keep the chat going on when you've solo streamed. It's definitely an art.
I gotta give thanks to like some of our viewers who have kept me talking, but this has been a lot easier this week with you here because we could just talk about things, and if the guys in the chat said anything, we could then incorporate that into a conversation. But it meant if the chat is quiet, we can actually just have a conversation. So it has been a lot easier to just keep everything moving along this week.
Excellent. Well, hopefully I shall make it back for a few more. Show how we're going on with this one. I was saying to you just before we came on stream that we've had some interest from sort of some of the local wargaming clubs and commission painters and things like that in maybe sort of showcasing a bit of what they do as part of our showcasing gaming and things. So we'll have a work out when we can get those on stream. I know you've got a whole pile of stuff scheduled already, but it'd be nice to
they could always
get some.
Take over a Wednesday painting stream.
Yeah, I'll have a chat. I know that the Swansea Games Club do a chat on their own Discord on a Wednesday. So I'll have a chat with them and see if we can't figure out a way of either hosting their channel like we did with the YouTube thing the other day, or just maybe us go and gate crash them and stream our gate crash. That could be
Yeah.
another way to do it.
I'm gonna whilst we got people here. This is I just dropping our Discord into the chat. So if you want to join us on Discord, feel free to come along and we're trying to build the community up. It's a bit quiet at the moment, but the idea is to have more like-minded people chatting about gaming and comics and stuff like that. So feel free to add us. Um,
And that way we all won't be completely out of practice when we get back to being able to run real events.
yeah, and you could tell us all the things that you'd like to see um, in the streams. At the moment, we've got uh, Mondays is our newest stream on the schedule. Is we're getting guests in, so we had Josh from Mythic Gaming this week, which is available up on our Twitch channel now. Um, we uh, then on Wednesdays we've got the painting stream, which um,
You're watching now.
you were watching right now. We have got the previous ones filmed. It's just we've got someone who started to do some editing for us, so that's so you should be able to see them on YouTube, Sean. Sean?
Sean,
Sean?
channeling the spirit of Sean Connery.
Um, Friday is our group stream, so uh, last week we did Scott Pilgrim versus the World on Switch. I think the next couple of weeks we're going to try and finish that, and that's me, Sam, Kieran and Adam, but otherwise, like last few weeks, we've the few weeks before that we did Among Us, and we're always looking for suggestions on what we can fill that slot with. It's supposed to be more of the group, the group of us getting together and just playing for the evening, and you get stuck with me chatting in the down period. Sorry, this channel is a lot of my voice. But yeah, so that is our Friday stream. Saturdays, I don't know, are the Yu-Gi-Oh guys a regular thing, or was that a one?
They're hoping to be. So we've got I think an Essex based Yu-Gi-Oh streamer has approached us through the shop and is streaming our online Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments that we've been running for the Yu-Gi-Oh community. So if you fancy watching some competitive card games being then our channel is hosting it um, on a Saturday, and then basically you can watch his stream through the convention channel. Went well the first week. He seemed to think it went well from his end, so they've said they'll be back next week, and we tend to run those. Oh, excuse me, at midday every Saturday.
And
That was
then
nearly disastrous.
Saturday is our busy day, so once they come off stream, me and Becky jump on and do some Stardew Valley. Oh, I missed out Thursdays. Thursdays is Magic the Gathering with Sam. So she streams from her channel, but we host it on ours, and it is part of the con um, setup. So, and Sam's one of our committee members. She's running it from her channel, but it is part of the con, so it's hosted there. So you could come and join us for that. Then Saturday after the Yu-Gi-Oh, we've got me and Becky and Joe playing through Stardew Valley, and then in the evening, someone might jump on and do something. I did a Pokemon playthrough last week. I started a Pokemon playthrough, so Pokemon Sword. So I might carry that on unless someone else wants to jump on the stream.
Yeah,
Um,
I've mentioned previously that if people are up for it, I might stream some Elite Dangerous. If people would be up for some Spaceship Pew Pew, um,
And then Sunday, we haven't got anything scheduled, but if any of the guys want to jump on, or if someone wants to play something and stream it, we might have something. But we'll normally announce that either in the Discord or on our Facebook, Instagram, and everything like that. So I think I've hit all of the plugs there. um, we have currently got a small giveaway going. So I bought a 2-player Keyforge starter set for myself because I wanted the 2 decks out of it, and it was on sale, and the 2 decks. But getting 2 decks that way was cheaper than buying 2 decks, so I bought myself that. But I don't need all of the components to play the game. So I'm going to take 2 of my other decks, mid-range level decks, that will be good to play against each other. I'm going to put them back into the box and give away the box to anyone who subscribed to our channel, over the last week. Anyone who has liked or shared a Facebook post, or anyone who has liked or followed us on Instagram. And with the Swansea Comics Collective, no, with the Swansea Comic and Gaming Convention, on all of those things, I got so many bloody streams going on. It's like, not streams, like all of these,
Projects.
yeah. So like, it's like you didn't
Flash.
become the Justice League or anything like that, because that's one that I'm plugging lately as well. So yeah, so if you fancy trying to win all the components to start playing Keyforge, do one of those things, and I'll be announcing that probably at the end of our Saturday Stardew stream, because that's when I launched it last week.
Oh, I tell you what, Ricky, I've got some Keyforge promo materials still kicking about in the shop as well. So if you let me know when you announce that, I will chuck in some promo bits from the shop as well to supplement that.
There we go. So just for watching and subscribing and liking things, you could get some free gaming stuff. Enough to start a new game. It's got all the rules, all the tokens that you need. So yeah,
And once we're out of lockdown, a pile of people to play it with as well.
yeah.
The Keyforge communities are pretty well established in the local area.
So, and let all your friends know about like the con and con, all con related activity. But yeah, that kind of covers everything that we're doing at the moment. We're trying to build the community because that's what the event was always supposed to be, a community event to bring the community together. And if we can't be together in person, we might as well be together online.
Exactly that. That's the other thing as well, as if on the Discord or the things, there's other aspects of gaming or con stuff that you don't think we're covering that you'd like to see covered, or if you've got a particular sort of thing that you'd like to get involved with to help sort of showcase some more comic and gaming related stuff, then reach out to us. You can email us at info@scgc.org.uk or through any of the socials. Especially when it comes back round to events time, we're always happy to have volunteers and helpers on board. And yeah, I think the more the merrier in content creation and getting stuff
And if you can
set
edit,
up.
you're my new best friend.
But even if you don't fancy getting involved in the whole, would perhaps sort of have a one shot idea of, yeah, here is my gaming thing. Can I be a guest for a week to tell you all about it? Those sort of things are things that we could work with as well. Sorry, my arm is right in the way there, but it's a delicate balance. Just there we are.
So we do plan on trying to get all the organizers together to do a D&D one shot as well, at some point. It's just trying to organize schedules and stuff. So that'll probably
It's like
be,
herding cats.
yeah. Um, and one of our numbers is basically a technophobe.
Technology does hate him.
And to be fair, you guys at the moment wouldn't want him on stream because you seeing as I've said that this stream, this channel's a lot of my voice. You just get to hear my voice 4 more times on top of it when
It's like
Adam's on
Captain
stream.
Captain Echo, bless him.
He's gonna
I
jump
think we
on
just
now and go,
oi.
oi, oi,
I think
oi,
we just,
oi, oi.
I think we might just have to get around to buying him a microphone.
He's picked up a headset.
Oh,
Yeah.
didn't solve anything last night, did it?
Oh, yeah, it hasn't arrived yet.
Oh, there we are, right.
But he was telling me that he'd bought X game or whatever that he wanted to buy. And I went, you know what you could have bought? A headset. And he went out and bought a headset. So
Oh, there
I
we
only had
are.
to
Good sort.
guilt him a little bit. But he needs it because I don't know how he's coping with working from home, to be honest.
Yeah. Unless Teams or whatever they're using in his work works better for the Echo than
Yeah.
Discord.
But when we record the podcast, he echoes a bit as well. So
Maybe it's just him. Maybe that's his superpower. Echo chamber. I've just started painting between these tracks and already I'm regretting it. It's like, why? No one's ever going to see the bottom of it. It's not like you flip the tanks over to show destroyed like you might have done in previous editions.
there's some things on like yeah, I think my plague burst crawler when I was painting the bottom of that, and it's like, oh, I've had enough. I've had enough. It's weird how you get some models that just do that to you, where they just make you hate the hobby.
Yeah, yeah. So why did I start doing that?
uh, I have contemplated an airbrush a few times during lockdown. Um, but at the end of the day, the way that I always manage to stop myself is because it'd be another thing I'd have to learn to do. I'm not a very good painter yet, as it is, and then trying to learn a new technique.
Yeah, I tried airbrushing and I should really have airbrushed something this size, but as I say, because I've lent it out to Howard and they're so good with the airbrush, I'm loath to take it back because they're producing such a good things.
Yeah, I just that's what have stopped me so far. It's just like I don't know how to use one. I'd have to teach myself how to use one. I'm already trying to teach myself how to stream.
Yeah, I know there's one of the local commission painters does do or did do from time to time sort of how to airbrush courses because he'd reached out to us before about whether we could host, and unfortunately, it wasn't something we could do in the shop because a little bit messy and a little bit impractical for the thing. But we plugged it when he was doing it. Um, oh no, that's interesting. The tracks are two different widths at the back. So I don't know if you can see just by there. This set of tracks are a lot more closely together than these are. So in this one, I can quite happily get the grey liner in. This one's going to be an absolute pig to get in there. Joyous. I guess I'll just be repainting the edges of the tracks once I'm done. Oh, bum. It actually looks good once it's in there, though. So I can't just pretend I wasn't going to do it.
But I do want to get things like painted up because I just want to be able to put all of my things out at one point and go, look, a fully painted army.
Yeah. And next to it, a unicorn.
Well, I can. Well, I can.
There's no such thing as a fully painted army. There's always the next thing or
Oh,
a
I know.
little bit you forgot to do or something like that. So,
Because I was going to say, I could say I've got a fully painted army with the Black Legion, but then I bought more for the Black Legion, so that's not even undercoated yet. So,
oops.
so yeah, I did have a fully painted army when I bought it off
What
you.
What did you add to the Black Legion stuff then?
I bought the start collecting box.
Oh,
So
cool. So the
uh,
Venom Crawler
and the
bits like
Master of
that.
Possessions and some of the newer sculpts of Space Marines and Obliterators and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah, because the Obliterators I had were they were the old ones.
Yeah, and I did buy because just before lockdown as well in Carmarthen, we were all contemplating doing an escalation of Age of Sigma to learn that.
Yeah.
So I did buy the Nurgle box just in the start of lockdown, thinking, yeah, when we're allowed to go and play games in the summer, I'll have Nurgle stuff, and then the world shut down forever.
And it's still in the pile of shame.
Yeah, it is. It's got a new great unclean one with it as well, though.
Ooh, shiny.
I had it off Adam for my birthday. That's undercoat. Well, that's sprayed, so technically it's the right color. It just, I guess, all I need to do is put some washes on it, and then it'd be legal. Not that anyone complains about us not having non-painted models in the group that I play with.
Nice. I mean, it's nice to have them, but at the end of the day, it's all about the roll of the dice and having fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and so like yes, that's all it is at the moment. It's just about keeping it going, and but I do need to learn how to play that when we're allowed as well. I, I've got a decent sized Sigma army between the stuff that was in the chaos I bought off you and the bits I've picked up and stuff like that. So
Oh yeah, I forgot I had the metal headed zombie plague bearer esque things, didn't I? That I'd converted. I enjoyed them.
yes, and old great unclean ones, which I'm tempted to try and convert into demon princes because
That
they
could work, yeah, because they're
the right
about the right
size.
dap for the. Just need to get some wings off a bit
Yeah,
of sight under.
yeah.
Well, actually, could you use foul blight spawn wings?
I think what
The plague drones and
plague drones is what
the
people use. Um, yeah, plague drones are what people tend to use for them. I think because especially with like what I've seen online and stuff is that people will get the start collecting and they don't run plague drones, so they just use the bits
whip
to
the wings
make
off and yeah.
beasts of chaos, beasts of Nurgle, and bits like that. Then
Oh, found another mold line, Greg. It's typical.
okay, so I have now put green on all of these guys.
Good skills.
There we go. This one's Bruce Nobler.
Well, Bruce.
Um,
Bruce.
and I've even painted the guy in this guy's hand.
Nice.
So, well, his skin anyway. So I've got. I'm making good progress on these. I reckon. I don't know. How long do you want to go for tonight?
I'm good if you're up for staying on for a bit, then I'm happy to stay on.
Yeah, I can stay on a
But
little bit. But yeah, so I reckon I'll be able to move on. The group, the chat over the last couple of weeks has picked the squig off for me next. So I
oh,
reckon
nice,
I'll be moving on to the squig off in a couple of weeks. Um,
excellent, excellent.
so I gotta work out how to paint that because I kind of want to paint him. Is that thing of do I paint the squig off red or the armor red?
Yeah, I don't know. It's part of me says paint the Squiggoth in similar flesh colours to what you've got the orcs in, and give him some red detailing. But I yeah, you could sort of go with almost the sort of the dwarf magmadroth flesh to him. That could look quite nice, like a
Yeah,
scaly red lizard look to him.
because the little squigs, people paint them as red, don't they? And
Yeah.
have you noticed the colours that we're saying again? No, red and green, or green and red. And I can't even escape it by going to my other army because what do I get? What either of my other two armies really? Because if I go with the Nurgle demons, what color am I painting?
Green.
Death Guard.
Oh dear.
Okay.
I suppose you could have gone for a completely different color scheme to them, but they do look nice in the official colors.
Yeah. So I've already painted a load of them as green, so it would mean repainting. But what I haven't painted at all in in my Death Guard army is Terminators, and because they're all like in cataphracti armor from like the Heresy, I was thinking about um doing the Terminators in the kind of bone color that you see some people do them as,
Yeah, that could be cool.
because they're supposed to be like from around then, and like apparently the armor isn't actually green, it's just built up um decay and
Filth and
stuff.
pus. Yeah,
So it kind of works. So that's what I'm probably gonna do with all my like Terminator armored people for my Death Guard.
that's cool. Yeah, the sort of seraphim CPR over a bone color really does look nice. You see it a lot on Dark Age as well, but I guess with Death Guard you sort of put more age to it.
Yeah, so that is kind of like the idea I'm thinking of. And then with my orcs, it's just more green, red, a little bit of yellow here and there. uh, okay, so I'm gonna paint one of these as with the Wraithbone as a starter, and then I'm going to maybe do one with a different lighter color. What other light colors have I got to hand? Could try a Gracia, and then because they don't have to match because they just kind of cobble together. The I think the ogres of in fluff have just forced
Grab some spectators and go on. You're playing for us now.
grabbed the nobblers to say, oh, we need players so that we can actually play to field a full team. And yeah, so the nobblers have unfortunately been forced to play. So I might try a couple of different colors to see which one gives off the result that I'm looking for. And as always, um, I'm I always check up the photos on our Instagram after we've done a painting stream so that you can see, like, I know that our my camera's not great. So
They're not really designed for the change of zoom field, these cameras, so it's hard to get it to
yeah.
look at what you're showing it sometimes.
Yeah, so I always put them up afterwards so you can check out and give some constructive criticism. Just understand that I understand that I'm not very good, so I don't need to be told that I'm rubbish. But if you've got anything that you think could help me improve, I'm happy to listen to that. So,
And another one for the love of monkeys.
so have you ever been into Blood Bowl, Si, or?
I played it back in the polystyrene board edition, which is again going to be mid-90s. Didn't really grab it this time around because at the time I was playing a lot more role-playing games than war games, so it didn't really grab with the people I was playing with at the time. But yeah, and I had a Chaos Humans and Minotaur team back in the day.
I wouldn't have been
And
able to play back then. I wouldn't have been able to play on a polystyrene pitch. It goes through me.
oh no,
Yeah.
it wasn't it yeah, well, it didn't feel too bad, but yes, it was but we had it would have been just after I came out of university actually, and we had a little league going on in one of the lads' houses, so we sort of play through that every now and then, and laugh at the tribulations of the halfling team player.
Oh, but you know that going into playing Hearthlands, don't you?
Yeah,
It's like uh, when we play the next league, because I won the last one with my orcs, I'm happily going in with this ogre team, knowing that I'm unlikely to win, and I'll be lucky to win a couple of games along the way, but it should be fun.
yeah, and that's at the end of the day, that's more what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's the idea.
It's nice setting yourself a challenge with it.
Yeah, and it was between like I probably will start picking up more of the teams because I really like the halfling sculpts. They're amazing if you haven't seen
Yeah,
them.
they are very very cool.
The halflings and uh, I'm trying to think what are the ones that I really like. The necromantic. I want goblins just because that was my idea for the next team, but Kieran bought me these ogres, which I'd also been eyeing up. So I stuck with the ogres instead of grabbing the halflings. Another the goblins.
Goblins.
But
I think if I went back to it, I'd probably go dwarfs because I do like me a stunty. But I don't know the hair on the fire slayers bothers me. It's, they used to have similar sort of things going on back in because I had Dungeon Bowl as well, which was the sort of Blood Bowl supplement played not on a pitch but in a series of interlocking rooms, which was interesting as a little variant. But yeah, the elves had Mohicans like the current fire slayers, and the dwarves back then had more sensible helmets on. And I don't know, yeah, I did a conversion for a friend who wanted a dwarf monk for his D&D character. I converted some fire slayers bits for him, but I had to shave my couldn't do with the Mohican. It's very much a Warhammer Fantasy troll slayer thing, and they seem to ram it on more things these days.
yeah, I like that model though. Because Adam has got the dwarf team, and I do like that troll slayer. I gotta say, I know it's like I've seen people say that they don't like it because of those reasons, like the mohawk or the fact that he's not on the base. His feet aren't on the base. He's on the base by his beard
Yeah,
and stuff like that. So, but I kind of like the model myself. But that's because I guess you're basing yours on years of playing these games, and I'm totally new to it, and I just thought, oh, that looks quite interesting and dynamic.
yeah. I don't. I think it's because as well because I like as I say my Imperial Guard are squats, so I've just sort of a hankering for older dwarves. But yeah, it just seems they've sort of not done away with the other dwarfs because they're still knocking around a bit, but they just seem to get second press to these sort of newer Fire Slayer
To be fair, there
thing
is only two of them in the
in the Blood Bowl. Yeah,
in the Blood Bowl team, and then um the other one is the others
correct.
are are more traditional because they've got the armor on and everything, and they're not like Caradon Overlords because I think Blood Bowl's still in the old world kind of rather than Sigma.
Yeah, I think so.
So like yeah,
Just pop you aside for a second. Just get out the turret.
so like yeah, it's only the Troll Slayers that are in that pose and with the mohawks. The others are armored up as you'd expect dwarves to be.
Yeah, I don't know if we get back to leagues happening, I might well break and get them.
Yeah, as much as I like the game, I gotta say the league kind of made it come alive a lot more for me because I like the aspects of, injuries meant things.
Yeah, it's the player development and the similar for Necromunda and things like that. It's the campaign what really makes the game.
Yeah, that was kind of what really made the game stick rather than just playing against me and Kieran playing on our own.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to run a nice campaign if it's just the two of you, isn't it? Doesn't quite feel as good unless you've got a bunch of teams and you're alternating which teams you're playing. But even then,
Yeah, it's quite funny seeing, like when we had the league. Uh, Kieran, I think, had people voted for his Rat Ogre for Player of the League MVP because somehow his Rat Ogre caught an interception and run it in for a touchdown.
the legendary interception. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
against,
not meant to do that.
and it was against like Dark Elves, so they're a Parsi team, so it definitely shouldn't have done it.
Sometimes the dice gods just say though.
I think he had to make like four rolls to get that, like, um, to get it to work because it was like, okay, you caught the interception, so it's turnover. Now you've got to like roll wild animal past that, and then he had to roll out of a dodge zone past that, and then I think he probably punched his way out of a dodge zone. To be fair, and then I think he had to roll a go for it as well. And if anyone's played Blood Bowl, you know that a two up roll for a go for it is 90% likely to fail.
Statistically, it shouldn't, but it always does.
Oh yeah, and you spend a re-roll on it and it still fails. So statistically, that shouldn't happen, but it does.
I like to think that when Blood Bowl gets bust out, statistics just takes a break.
Yeah.
It's like my time for a coffee break. Ta-da!
Well, it's Nuffle then, isn't it? It's all on
The
Nuffle.
dice gods.
If Nuffle smiles on you, then you're fine. If he doesn't, too bad.
There we go. Right, that's looking a bit more. Because that was a significantly easy to get done. The grey's starting to take shape on there. To focus. Right, I think I'm at a point now where I probably want to start putting some white on the lenses and just leaving the rest of it to sit for a bit. Because my back is cramping. We've got a white brush.
So, yeah, I've made some pretty good progress today anyway, so I'm happy to call it whenever you are, but I'm happy to sit here if you are as well.
I've got a reasonable amount of whiskey. I'm good for a bit. Oh man, my Corex white has dried up.
Oh, mine is terrible.
Yeah, that's gone.
Greg says that it's looking good, so.
Thank you. Bum. My only other option is air white scar or go and have a dig in the other room to see if I've got any army painted white. But let's give the air a go. It's just like thin paint, right?
Kieran prefers painting in air.
Yeah, he was saying this.
Because then he doesn't have to thin his paints.
It's a valid choice. I haven't got the patience. I'm one of those heathens that doesn't normally thin the paints, and I'll paint straight from the pot most of the time because I'm that sort of wrong. But yeah, if it works for him, more power to him.
So to be fair, a lot of my painting is done by contrast.
Contrast is a good solution. I did all of the Warlord's plasma weaponry with contrast.
Although it's not the be all and end all solution that the marketing would have you believe. Because like even though I use a majority of contrast on a lot of my things, like all my boys and grots and stuff like that, there's always some traditional base colors and layers on there as well, like the black. The Templar black contrast is okay, but it's not amazing. It doesn't get the same coverage as Abaddon black.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the thing is the contrast is good if you want a really sort of quick and dirty, get it all done. If you do want that sort of finer detail or sort of extra bits and bobs going on, then yeah, you can't beat the old fashioned way of doing it.
Yeah, so like it's great for like grots especially because you just chuck orc flesh on them, little bit of little bit of lead belcher, done. Maybe a loincloth here and there.
Oh, see, that's the other thing for Space Marines is I don't find they work as well with contrast
No.
because so many flat surfaces on them. So whereas the orcs have got lots of nice sort of skin crevices that. Your poor old boys in blue, or otherwise.
Whereas it kind of works for my Death Guard as well, to be
Yeah,
fair.
lots of nice knobbly bits and sticky out bits and things. Right, where else needs? There's a keypad.
Yeah, so I'm lucky with that. That it just kind of works for them. But obviously, like with all my buggies and stuff, not really, because it pulls it too thin on the flat panels, and if you're doing multiple coats with it, you haven't got as much control of how dark it goes because you've got to wait till it dries to see, and you can just go like, oh, hang on, it's gone too far.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to use a bit of contrast on the void shield generators here to what I used to do for sort of power weapons and things like that was just thin down a regular color, like say Caliban green, and wash that over the top of some silver. And that used to give quite a good effect for sort of the poor man's glow for a power weapon if you didn't fancy doing the object lighting and all the really fancy dandy painting. Actually, sure.
Okay. I don't know how well this will show up on the camera, but that is Wraithbone with Seraphim Sepia over it. I
Yeah,
kind of like it.
struggling to get the focus on it slightly. Yeah, cool. Cool.
But I might try one in the grey because it's quite impressive how much coverage that Seraphim Sepia gets on the Wraithbone. It's just I might as well have just put the uh, sepia over the Gracia
Yeah,
um, uh, under base coat like so spray. So I don't know. Got Wraithbone. I haven't got anything else here at the moment. I got Gracia. I got Wraithbone. Maybe I'll wait for that. I could pick out all of the um. I've got some leathery bits to do, so I'll start doing like leather caps and stuff. Which I tell you what, this one of my favorite contrast colors is the snakebite leather. That one really works really well.
I like the Achelian green for sort of cheap plasma go. So rather than using it over the Wraithbone, a matte white from Army Painter or Corax whites, and then you sort of wash that in. That gives you quite a nice sort of plasma glow effect. I think so. There's some drops.
And trying to think of a.
Do
The one thing on all of these models at the moment that I don't want to paint though is uh the ogre's hair and like their beards and stuff. I just don't know how to do it.
um, so you can get quite a good sort of grey hair with white with a more sort of null oily wash into it. That can quite thing, but yeah, it's tricky to get sort of lots of different hairstyles going on. So you obviously don't want them all uniform, but at the same time, some colours and styles work better.
So if anyone's got a tip for hair and beards, because that's the thing as well. Like one of them looks as if he'll be okay, because I could chuck some maybe contrast on him or something like that, because he's got defined strands of hair. Whereas one of them, it's just like kind of like solid mass. So I don't think that would work for making it look like hair with contrast or anything. So I'm not sure with them. So if anyone in the chat has any tips for that, throw them at me. Um,
It's cabling now. 'Cause, 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 See, when I used to paint, I used to get really worried about going over bits that I'd already done and sort of missing a bit. And it was a real revelation when I realised, like, revelation. What am I talking about? When I realised it didn't really matter if I skipped an edge and just had to go back in and edge in. So, yeah, that what I was saying earlier about sort of being kind to yourself while you're painting and not expecting to not make mistakes, if you know what I mean. Really change how you feel. He says that getting away with it, not actually spilling over the edges on that one, but
Uh, like there's little bits of sculpting in like the hair on the beards coming down, but it's not a lot that like a wash or anything will define it as different, like any depth or anything, and that's kind of what I'm thinking with it. I'm not sure about. It's like one thing that I can't seem to get is um oh, what's it called? Dry brushing. I don't know if it's because of my color blindness or something or anything with that, because like when I do it at the start and it doesn't look as if there's anything, and by the time I can see it, it's like I've gone too far.
yeah, I was always like that. I refined it and called it a technique called wet brushing. It's like dry brushing with more paint. That's how I ended up painting my Necrons back in the day. Um, but yeah, it's it's one of those things that's meant to be easy, but yeah, as you say, it's very easy to overdo it and sort of knowing what's enough and when to stop. And
Uh, it's like I always go. Everything can always go back to the Simpsons. The Simpsons always has a quote, and I always go to that when Homer builds the grill,
I
and it's like he looks at the and it comes up after he's lost the instructions and everything, and and then he's looking at it and it goes, ah, now that's a grill, and then he moves the box and go, why doesn't mine look like that?
oh man, I've just knocked a track off it. Um, right, brief pause for super glue. Be right back.
Yeah, so this definitely a Simpsons quote for everything, really. Um, it's because the South Park were right. Simpsons did it first. Everything. And they've been around so long now that it could be actually true. But yeah, we've done pretty well today, I think. I've got quite a bit of these guys finished now. I've got this guy in particular is starting to look. He's more or less done, I think. Uh, there's little bits to pick out on him.
Oh, luck has turned against me now. My super glue seems to have mostly gone as well. So I'm going to have to pick some up when I'm in the shop next so I can get enough. Oh, that's completely solidified, isn't it?
So yeah, he'd be a good thing. I'm gonna try and get this guy to a point where I think he's more or less finished, so that I can put him up and show what my idea is. And then the rest of the guys have got the rest of the guys are um, all green anyway. So the Nobblers one step closer, and then I can show what I've done with these guys, what my plan is for these guys. They're so small though. That's why the ogres were quite nice because they were quite big.
That's not going to stick.
And when I was painting some of these guys, I couldn't work out why there was no definition on their feet. But
Yep.
as I've looked again, as I think I got towards the end, I went, oh, they're wearing holy socks. So you got feet, toes sticking out, or just the band of the sock, and so like, yeah, they're all wearing holy socks.
Nice.
Just another nice little um, sculpting detail, I guess. So, are you painting anything at the moment, Greg? Or anyone else in the chat? Like, not this moment, but what's on your painting table? I know, I'm waiting for an answer. Well, I'm concentrating. It's a small bit. That's the problem when you're on your own,
Yeah.
especially is that when when I get into like little details and I've got to think and put out my concentration tongue.
That's about ready for some null oil once that's dried. And then I think I'm ready to stick that melter cannon on. Are you even ready to? Yes, you are. Beautiful. I think I got away with that. I'll just convince the last of the glue to stay. Fire off as well.
Yeah, I get that feeling. Well, not fully, but yeah. Even though we're all stuck at home, there's still plenty that takes away your time.
Yeah, that's one of the things I found with things like trying to get online role playing groups and things like that together. It's surprising how busy people can be, myself included, when we're all technically stuck at home and got stuff going on.
Greg has got a new, well, still, yeah, new baby. So
Oh, I tell you what, I don't miss those days. They do sleep eventually, Greg. Panic. But yeah, just for now, hang in there, man. Because oh my, it can yes, flashbacks.
yeah, so he's saying that even watching this has been interrupted with baby feeding, ordering some stuff from the gamers, so waiting for that to assemble some Infinity. So
Yes, well, I will pack that order up on Saturday. I would rather suspect them. If you placed it in the last day or so. That was a. I'm getting lazy in my old age. Can't be bothered to go and find what I've done with my army painter red because my Citadel selector that I've got home is somewhat lacking at the moment. And I've just discovered that Blood for the Blood God oval, a white dot, actually makes a reasonable little glowy red light. You won't be able to see it on the. There's a team.
I have also done that before now. So some Blood for the Blood God, and then chuck some hard coat over it.
Done and done. Start to put some control panel lights on the areas I was whiting up earlier on. Some really random colours here.
Mute in a second. Becky's just about to come through the door, I think.
No worries. It's a late one for her.
She works evenings. I come home, she goes out.
Not a bad arrangement for housemates if you like.
So
she'll be like, "Why are you doing still streaming, Ricky?"
Well, she's normally pretty good. She'll ask, "Are you still streaming?" Because I'm usually here when she comes in anyway, even if I'm not. Because I'm normally, sorting out the last bits of the stream and stuff like that, and talking to people, especially like when I've had other people. Right, I'm gonna mute a second.
No worries. So, got my concentrating head on now. I should read the channel. So I think I'm getting to a point there where I'm nearly done for this evening. Obviously, it needs a few more coats, but I'm struggling. And if anyone wants in the chat to suggest these front details down here, I'm trying to work out whether they'd look nicer in a gold or a bronze or some other non-metallic colour. So if anyone's got any suggestions as to, I've spotted another blooming mould line while I'm at. And that track hasn't glued. Bum. I will be picking myself up some super glue from the shop when I'm in on Saturday. Suggestions for what to do with these. Like, I assume they're fragmentation launchers, but they look like fancy crosses on the thing. Let us know, because I'm not relishing painting them whatever colour I end up doing. Because there's lots of them and they're teeny. But sometimes I don't know how I've missed these things, because obviously I spent a little while cleaning this thing up as I was putting it together. And you stick the grey on, and suddenly they're really glaring. You're like, idiot, Simon, how did you miss cleaning those up? I've got to scratch through all the paint that I've just done, get the lump off, pat it down, and paint it back up again. And I'll be cursing myself. I should just do a better job at getting those mould lines off in the first. The moral of the story is get your mould lines off first. Otherwise you will just repaint lines it. Anymore. There's another over there. And that tracks off in a minute. Bronze, yeah, bronze does work. I quite like the Army Painter weapon bronze. Got a ready gold bronze, but I have got a warp lock bronze kicking around somewhere, so I will give those a try maybe next time and see which comes up nicer. I'll try. What's Ricky doing? He's I'll back in a second, but passing salesman. Yeah. Oh, my poor super glue. Has that completely. I'm trying to fish out some vaguely liquid bits of it with a cocktail stick so it won't fall apart while I leave it tonight. I think it's really quite at it. There we go. How have I got the buttons here? Do that told next time. Those are grey and probably call that a night, I think. So, always slightly worrying balancing something like this on its end. You're like, is it going to fall and smash? But surprisingly sturdy for a thing that's clearly not meant to sit that way around. Sorry you can't see what's going on up here. It's just easier to get to this bit just off shot, I'm afraid. Removed mould lines from a second ago. That dries, no one will be the wiser. I don't know why I've gone a bit quiet now. I seem to be I think it was a mention of the kids sleeping as caused me to revert to parenting mode from a couple of years ago when they were less good at sleeping. So now I'm talking quietly because I am technically sat directly beneath their bedrooms, but they're both good as gold now. So chances are I won't wake them up. Just change brushes on for some reason.
Okay.
Hey, it's Ricky back.
So it might be a little bit of background noise, but I should be okay for the moment.
I was just saying I'd noticed that I'd gone really quiet with the talking while you were on stream. I think it was because I was reverting to being quiet in case you wake the kids mode.
Yeah, I can understand that.
But
and also, I guess weird when you kind of talking to yourself. I understand that too. I have now been doing it for about 2 months, and it's still weird every time. Oh, I've just okay. So I've more or less finished this Noblar today, I think.
good skills, that man.
So I realized that I went over a bit with black where there should be a hole for his heel to show through. So I've got to just put a touch of Gracie back on there so that I can put some orc flesh back on there. But oh,
Greg's just come up with a suggestion for bronze for the front faceplate on the sort of frag rams. So I'll give that a try when I find what I've done with warp bronze.
what? Oh, you just said.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking at a bronze for those eventually.
I
In
like a
changing the angle.
bronze.
Yeah, bronze are good. I do a lot of the more sort of Balthazar gold sort of shade on the guard. So it would be nice to do something a bit different for those. And in fact, my regular Marines, when I had them in different marks of armor, their chest eagles were all gold. But yeah, so I'll have a play with that.
I like a Castellan bronze, which is on my table by here right now. And I do like the Balthasar gold as well.
The army painter weapon bronze is quite nice, though. It's also it's a lot more of a reddy colour to it.
I did by, I think it was Screaming Bell, um,
Yeah,
a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't quite like how it looked on the model. It's fine, but it looked a bit too clean for Death Guard.
whack some typhus corrosion over the top of it, it'd be fine.
I know. The problem with that is, and this is just a me thing, is that again, it's like with the dry brush in. I go, ooh, that looks good. Oh, too much. Oh, and that's one more brush I've ruined.
Yeah, it can be a tricky balance. Right, I think that might be me about done for this evening because I'm slowly cramping up in the back. Let's pop it down, put the bits back on, see how it's looking. Some
Okay.
touch ups on the tracks there.
Oh. Okay, I will throw this up on. I was just about to do the photo then, but this little knobbler that I've kind of finished, he's got little bits that need doing, but I would call him more or less finished.
Table ready, that's what we call him.
Yeah. He will. I'll put him up on our Instagram, um, and into the Discord as well. Once we finish this stream now, it's asking me to do things, and we're still streaming. When I tried to do it on Discord, then okay.
Cool. Well, thank you for having me on, Ricky. And yeah, if able, I will come back next week and carry on with this some more.
It was a pleasure because it meant that I wasn't talking to myself, and it's gone a lot more smoothly. Thank you for everyone joining us in the chat. And if you're into TCG, Sam will be doing her Magic the Gathering stream tomorrow. Then it's usually video gaming on Friday. We've got the um, Yu-Gi-Oh tournament on Saturday afternoon. More video gaming Saturday evening, and then we've got a guest next Monday. So thank you for joining us. Remember, if you followed us within the last week, or if you like and share one of our posts, follow or share, us on Instagram, I'll throw you into the draw to have a chance of winning the Keyforge starter set. So that's us for tonight. So from me, thank you very much.
And from me, good night.